My name is Rachel Miller, and if there's one thing I learned about marriage, it's this: people rarely destroy trust in one moment. They destroy it slowly, through secrets they think will never be discovered. My husband Ethan and I had been married for 9 years. We lived in Seattle, Washington, in a quiet neighborhood surrounded by tall trees and rainy streets that somehow always made the city feel emotional. Ethan worked in corporate marketing, and I worked remotely as a graphic designer. From the outside, our life looked stable, comfortable, safe. But comfort can hide distance, and distance can hide secrets. For the first few years, Ethan and I were inseparable. We stayed up late talking about everything: future plans, kids, places we wanted to visit someday. Even grocery shopping felt fun when we were together. But over time, life became routine. Work stress, bills, exhaustion. Conversations slowly turned into schedules instead of emotions. Still, I trusted him completely. That's why I ignored the little signs at first. The late-night phone calls he suddenly took outside. The way he started locking his phone after years of never caring. The business trips that became more frequent. Whenever I asked if everything was okay, he always smiled casually. "Work's just stressful lately." And because I loved him, I believed him. Then one Thursday evening, everything changed. Ethan was in the shower when his laptop lit up beside me on the couch. Normally, I would never invade his privacy. But a notification appeared on the screen before I could even look away. "Can't wait for our weekend together." My stomach instantly tightened. The message wasn't from me. For a few seconds, I just stared at the screen trying to convince myself there had to be some explanation. Then another message appeared. Did Rachel suspect anything? Every part of my body went cold. I opened the messages with shaking hands, and suddenly my entire marriage stopped feeling real. The conversation was with a woman named Vanessa. At first, I hoped it was emotional cheating at worst. Then I kept reading. Hotel reservations. Private photos. Plans for a secret weekend getaway in Napa Valley. A getaway my husband planned behind my back. The worst part wasn't even the affair itself. It was realizing how normal he acted every single day while lying to my face. I heard the shower turn off upstairs and quickly locked the laptop again, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. For the next hour, I sat across from Ethan at dinner pretending everything was normal while my entire world quietly collapsed inside me. He smiled, asked about my day, talked about work, and suddenly I realized something terrifying. Good liars don't look nervous. They look normal. That night I barely slept. I kept replaying every moment from the past few months in my head, searching for signs I missed. The next morning Ethan kissed my forehead before leaving for work. "I might have another business trip next weekend," he said casually. The lie sounded effortless, and honestly, that hurt more than the cheating itself. After he left, I cried harder than I ever had in my life. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent heartbreak sitting alone on a kitchen floor. For days, I debated confronting him immediately, but part of me needed certainty first. So I did something I never imagined myself doing. I followed him. The following Friday, Ethan packed a suitcase and told me he was leaving for a 2-day conference in Portland. I smiled and wished him luck. Then 30 minutes later, I got in my car and drove after him. Rain covered the highways outside Seattle while my hands shook against the steering wheel. Half of me hoped I was wrong, that somehow there'd be another explanation waiting at the end of this nightmare. But deep down, I already knew the truth. 3 hours later, I watched Ethan pull into a luxury hotel in Napa Valley. And then I saw her. Vanessa. Beautiful, elegant, smiling at him in a way that instantly told me this wasn't new. They hugged, then kissed like people completely comfortable betraying someone together. I honestly thought my heart would stop in that moment. Not because I lost my husband, but because I realized I never truly knew him. I stayed hidden inside my car while rain hit the windshield softly around me, and for nearly 20 minutes, I just watched them laugh together before walking inside the hotel. My marriage ended quietly in a parking lot hundreds of miles from home. I could have confronted him right there. Part of me wanted to. But another part suddenly felt exhausted, like the truth itself had drained every emotion from my body. So instead, I drove home alone through the rain, and honestly, that drive changed me forever. Because somewhere during those long silent hours on the highway, I realized something painful. The affair wasn't the beginning of the betrayal. The betrayal began the moment Ethan stopped being honest about his unhappiness, and started building a secret life instead. When he came home Sunday evening, I was waiting for him in the kitchen, calm, silent, holding printed screenshots of everything. The color disappeared from his face instantly, and in that moment, for the first time in weeks, he finally looked afraid. "What is this?" he whispered. I stared at him for several seconds before answering quietly, "The truth." At first he denied things, then minimized them, then blamed stress, loneliness, emotional distance, anything except himself. But eventually the lies collapsed under their own weight, and finally Ethan broke down crying. "I never meant to hurt you." Maybe that was true, but betrayal doesn't hurt less simply because someone feels guilty afterward. The divorce took almost a year, and honestly, the hardest part wasn't losing my husband. It was rebuilding trust in my own instincts again. For months, I questioned everything, every memory, every anniversary, every "I love you." But eventually I understood something important. Someone else's betrayal should never become evidence that you were unworthy of love. That affair was about Ethan's dishonesty, not my value. A year later, I still think about that secret getaway sometimes. The hotel, the rain, the moment my marriage quietly ended before my eyes. But strangely enough, I don't feel anger anymore. Just clarity. Because sometimes discovering the truth destroys your life temporarily, but it also saves you from spending years trapped inside a lie.